This is Viva Fry.
I'm Dr. Peter McCullough.
This is Tom Luongo.
This is Chuck Prodnick.
This is Alex Kreiner.
Hey, this is Brad Wall.
This is JP Sears.
Hi, this is Frank Peretti.
This is Tammy Peterson.
This is Danielle Smith.
This is James Lindsay.
Hey, this is Brett Kissel, and you're listening to the Shaun Newman Podcast.
Welcome to the podcast, folks. Happy Monday. How's everybody doing today? Hopefully the weekend treated you well. Well, the number of ounces of silver needed to buy an ounce of gold at now near 30-year highs. Silver is now bargain price when compared to gold, and it's the perfect time to protect a portion of your savings with silver. And Silver Gold Bold has a wide variety of best value silver for every budget. Simply text or email Grahame for details. Whether you're a seasoned investor or new to precious metals, he will work with you to answer all your questions and recommend the best products to meet your investing goals. Down in the show notes is all the info, or you can just go to silvergoldbold.ca or .com. and take a look at what they got. And any purchases, just make sure to reference the Shaun Newman podcast. Bow Valley Credit Union. Well, they've got something new here this week with the, well, actually it started last week, and it is the Bow Valley Credit Union Bitcoin Gateway. Yeah, buying and selling Bitcoin has never been easier. Not tech savvy, no problem. With just a few clicks, you can buy Bitcoin directly from your Bow Valley Credit Union account. Members benefit from up-to-the-minute competitive pricing without the confusion or hassle of navigating complicating trading platforms, technology, or charts. Whether you're new to digital assets or are already a veteran in the space, the Bitcoin Gateway makes owning Bitcoin simple, direct, and efficient. Unlike other product offerings that deal in paper, derivatives, or pooled crypto products, the Bitcoin you purchase through the Bitcoin Gateway is real, truly yours, securely stored, insured, and never leveraged. Custody is provided to you with no risk of losing your seed phrases, complicated technology, or fear of hackers. Your Bitcoin Gateway account is linked to your traditional BVCU bank account, enabling seamless on-ramps and off-ramps between the fiat and Bitcoin. Little tech expertise or knowledge of blockchain required. Visit bowvalleycu.com. It's down in the show notes as well. Just click on the link and it can take you there, or shoot them an email at welcome@bowvalleycu.com. Either way, they can get you what you're looking for there. Profit River, when it comes to firearms, yeah, you're looking for maybe, anything in regards to firearms, optics, accessories. You're anywhere in Canada, you can look no further than Profit River. They got a brand new website they launched earlier this summer, and it's been updated for ease of use for all of you fine folks. It doesn't matter if you're on the West Coast, the East Coast, up north in the territories, the Yukon. Well, go to profitriver.com and they will get you everything. They are the major retailer of firearms, optics, and accessories, and they serve all of Canada. When it comes to wood, well, look no further than Windsor Plywood here in Lloydminster. They are the builders of the podcast studio table. And when it comes to quality wood, we're talking mantles, decks, windows, doors, sheds, podcast studio tables. Stop in Lloydminster today at the Windsor Plywood location in Lloydminster, that is. Tell Carly and team that we sent you over there, and take a look at some of the character wood they have. The new studio is coming along, and if you want to be on the wall, get your name up there with a whole bunch of others, just shoot me a text. Easy ways, e-transfer, or maybe you've got a skill you can offer. We're looking for all different things. Shoot me a text, and we'll see what we can do for you and get you on the wall, because that is coming hopefully sooner rather than later. If you're on Spotify or Apple, that is, make sure to leave a review on the podcast. Those things really do help, and we are now at 395, so we're 5 away from cracking the 400. It's been slowly going up. Appreciate that. If you love it, rate me a 5. If you hate it, rate me a 1. Either way, just getting those rankings up helps the podcast on those different apps, and would appreciate that immensely. And if you're listening elsewhere, you're listening on X, give it a retweet. You're watching on YouTube, subscribe, Rumble, subscribe, all those different things. Share with a friend if you're enjoying the episode. Get us out past some of the, censoring that I'm no doubt experiencing. Yeah, with some of the guests we've had on the show. Oh, boy. All right, let's get on to that tale of the tape. Today's guest is a former school teacher from Ontario who was fired for allegedly not supporting or celebrating LGBTQ+ initiatives. I'm talking about Matt Alexander. So buckle up. Here we go. Welcome to the Shaun Newman podcast. Today, I'm joined by Matt Alexander. Sir, thanks for giving me some time this morning.
My pleasure. Glad to be here, Shaun.
I don't know. I guess first time on the podcast. Just I want to know a little bit about Matt, and then we can get into all the insanity that Canada continues to be. I don't know. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm in Ontario for your listeners. I know you got a lot of Western listeners, but I'm unfortunately in Ontario, but that's where I am. I was a teacher for over 20 years in the public school system. I'm a born-again, Bible-believing Christian, and that's directed my life for the last 30 years or so. I spent a little time in the military, nothing to brag about, but I am a vet, and pastored a church and done a lot of church work over the last couple of decades. And that kind of sums up who I am. Father of four, and got a wonderful wife who was also put off work at the same day I was for the same reasons. So, yeah, we've had an interesting couple of years. Since COVID restrictions, I think everyone's life became quite interesting. So that brought some spice into life. But more recently, my son took a stand against males in female washrooms in his high school. It was a Catholic high school, actually. I'm not a Catholic, but he was in a Catholic school. And anyways, he took a stand against that, and that blew up. And a lot of your listeners will probably be familiar with that. Josh Alexander, and he and his brother spoke out against drag queen story hours for kids, some of the wild stuff that's been going on in our culture. And they attracted some attention and shed a lot of light on the dark goings on that happen in our culture at this point. And a little further down the line, the school board that my wife and I worked for terminated us after having clear records of teaching. Myself, I think it was 23 years, totally clear, put into leadership positions. Then suddenly, we were pulled off work, and really what it boiled down to is we were presented with the requirement to celebrate and affirm LGBTQ diversity with kids. And I said, no, I'm sorry. My wife, we said, we're Christians, and we can't do that. 20 years leading a welcoming classroom to all students in all different places, different towns and cities, and different backgrounds, not an issue at all, always positive. But suddenly when I was presented with this ultimatum to celebrate and affirm, and those are the key words that people need to understand, required to celebrate LGBTQ in the classroom, I said, no, I'm sorry, that's not who I am. And as a Canadian, we're supposed to have the rights, any of us, whether we're Christian or whatever our belief system is, we're supposed to have the right to believe what we believe, whether that's in the resurrection of Jesus Christ or whether it's in the existence of no God. Whatever we might choose to believe, we have the right to believe those things, and it shouldn't hinder our existence in the public sphere. But that's not the case in Canada. It's important Canadians come to understand that.
If I go back, I mean, I don't know, 20 years maybe, but maybe you started your teaching career. Could you have ever predicted this? Because I don't know how anyone could predict this. Like where you sit with your sons and all your kids, but certainly your two sons you mentioned, and then now you and your wife. But like if you go back 20 years, would you I don't know where you mentioned clean, I think you said clean record. It's not like you were in the principal's office getting talked to or the superintendent's. Like,
Never.
Over the course of your teaching career, did you ever go, oh, there's a day coming where this is going to be a thing and I'm going to be really put to the test? Like, did you see any of this transpiring?
As a Christian, yes. When would it happen? I had no idea. But I mean, the school system has changed so much over the past 2-3 decades. The school system that I went to school in is not the school system that exists today. And I think that's what a lot of parents don't understand. They relate what their kids are doing in school to what they experienced 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 25 years ago. And they ride on that assumption. And it is not a safe assumption, because it is not at all like what we adults experienced. And it has become progressively more indoctrinating year after year after year. And so, long answer to your short question. Yes, I mean, I knew the day was going to come when it wouldn't be possible to teach, and I always wondered when that would be. And the day came. The day came when the board put it to me that no, as a Christian, you're not allowed to believe what you believe and hold a position in the classroom if you're not going to bow down and celebrate what we want you to bow down and celebrate.
But when I read your story, and correct me if I'm wrong here, you get basically pulled in for online posting, but you had no social media account.
I had no social media. No.
So walk me through this, because I'm like I said before we started, I would say your story's wild, except this is just what Canada's become.
Yep.
So you got a teacher that you don't like because of the views he holds, but you got no record of anything in your 20 years of I don't even know. So you just have a clean record. There's nothing there. So we'll go, we'll get him. We'll get them on an online post. So then they haul you in for online posts. And I assume you realize I have no social media accounts. I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't post. Shouldn't that have ended it right there?
Well, you would think so. So it would seem from the information they've given me that it was actually anonymous posts made by anonymous individuals online about me. Pertaining to Josh's activism, Josh's being removed from school and protests and so forth. It was made public that his dad's a teacher. Oh, his parents are teachers, and must be terrible having those parents as public school teachers. How can that be allowed? That sort of thing. I don't know the exact details to it, but it's that sort of thing that alerted the board, and that I think is what triggered them.
And, I know there's things going on in the court of law, right? So I understand, there's probably some details you can't share, you can't get too much into. But, when you say, guys, I don't have any social media accounts. This can't be me. Were they oh, well, in that case, go back to your room? Or did they just kind of glaze past that and it's no, sorry, you got to sit at home for a few days while we iron this out?
Yeah, well, when I was told to not report to work, it was called one evening. My principal called me and said, "Hey, Matt, sorry to tell you this, but don't come into work. You're under investigation." And she had no details to give me, none whatsoever. So in the morning, I had a phone call with my union representative, and her understanding, she said she thought it was my posts, and that's where I said, "Yeah, I don't have any social media. I wasn't that kind of guy." And so she was puzzled by that. Anyway, I found out later on from the board that, no, it wasn't my posts, but it was others. Others had put things online about me, and not even about me, but there were just things that connected and didn't even connect to me, but they didn't like it. They didn't like who I was, I guess. And,
what did your did your coworkers say anything, and they were just hands off, this is nuclear hot type thing, we can't go around this?
There is a culture of fear in teaching in the teaching sector. So my closest colleagues, I spoke with them, and they were shocked by it and thought it was terrible. Most of them, not a word to say. They just went, as you said, nuclear. It was a nuclear fear, and it was reported to me that almost immediately after my suspension, teachers started slapping rainbow posters up on their classroom walls and doors.
In solidarity.
Yeah, to make and they didn't have them before, but they suddenly put them up. I can't judge the motives, but either in solidarity or in out of fear, marking their doorposts, so to speak, with the marking that would keep them safe.
Then your wife gets removed as well. Are you guys at the same school?
Different school, same school board, different school.
Different school. So was she posting or
No,
walk me?
absolutely no online whatsoever. So her case was a little different. This is a few weeks after I was suspended. She walks into school. She was a kindergarten teacher who taught French to kindergartens. And so she walks into her classroom, and as she approaches the door of her classroom, there's a pride flag poster mounted on the door, which she didn't put there. It's her classroom. She didn't put it there. They were not on all the other doors down the classroom. There was no mandate to put them up, but there was somebody who put one on her door.
Okay, so just so I heard this correct.
Yeah.
You're walking into school. You got a grade 2 class over there, a grade 1 over there, grade 4 up there. None of the doors have anything pride on them. Go to the kindergarten class. There's a pride flag.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So, teachers are provided. The union makes pride posters and things. There's always things available to use, and some teachers put them up and some don't. The fact of the matter is, down that hallway there were, maybe there was one. They were not there on most of the doors. It was not a requirement. They were not there. It was on her door that morning, not of her doing. So she just took it off, put it in the closet, and carried on, prepped her day, and started teaching her students, and was then called to the office where the superintendent was waiting. And the question was put to her, did you remove that pride flag poster thing from your door? And my wife said, yes. And so she was told, you are under suspension. So that was it. Oh, my wife then asked, so is it required that I was to have that on the door? And the superintendent responded with, we'll talk about that later. It was not required. There was no requirement to have it on the door. So that's it.
So they were looking for a way to get her up.
They were looking for, well, you would think they were looking for a way to.
Well, I don't know. That's my words, and I just look at it though. But it's not like she walked in and it's on every single door. It's on her door.
No, it wasn't a requirement. And
your wife didn't walk around the school going, oh, there's one on the wall. I'm going to take it off there, take it, and made a big stink of 15 pride. One on her door that she didn't put there. She takes it off, and they call her down for that.
That's right. Immediate suspension. Yeah. No discussion.
If you don't mind, I was curious. This morning, I was sitting having coffee with a couple of guys, and we got talking about marriages, right? And some of the storms that come through a marriage, and some you can see coming from a long time off. You're like, oh yeah, here comes a storm. Whether it could be a multitude of things. Other things like this, certainly with your son Josh being outspoken, you could probably understand there might be some not friendly fire, some shrapnel, some I forget what that is. There's a word for it. Regardless, how have, as a married couple, has this brought you way closer? Was this difficult? Has it been difficult? I don't mean to get too personal. Just that I was sitting talking with a group of men about marriages and some of the storms you face in life and how you get through them. And this to me seems like, you've been a teacher for 20 years. And I don't know if you said how long your wife had been a teacher, but I assume for a similar time period. I assume you enjoyed it. I assume this gave a lot of meaning to life. And then to just have it pulled for, one, something you didn't do. You didn't post on social media. And two, for something that looks to me to be very targeted, right? You put it on somebody puts it on the door, you take it off, and immediate suspension. To me, that could be a difficult time, or maybe on the flip side, it could really bring a couple closer, if you don't mind sharing.
Well, I mean, I think losing a job is a challenge. So there's all kinds of difficulties that come into life with that, of course. But I think what helps in terms of marriage is, we're on side. We hold the same beliefs. We hold the same principled stance. And both of us support each other in the stand that we took. Both of us rejected the board's offer to bow down to their rainbow agenda because we think it's harmful to the kids. And we're not taking part in it. We'll be welcoming, we'll be warm and loving to everybody, but I'm not celebrating that which I don't want to celebrate. Same way I wouldn't celebrate a Muslim holiday. I'm not doing it. A Muslim's allowed to be a Muslim. A Jew is allowed to be a Jew, but I'm not celebrating their holidays. So it goes the same way with the LGBTQ agenda. So yeah, we're on side together, and we're fighting this battle together. It's a shared principle.
I assume the dinner table conversations have gotten a little bit different over the last, because this is what, 2023 when this all goes down?
Yeah, 2023. Yeah, and Josh was doing his thing the year prior, so it was 2022, 2023 on into now. It's been a ride.
Where does it sit in the courts? Like where, like, I from what I've seen with all these specific to like when you get singled out, it seems like instead of it being a month, you're in court, something gets decided, you go back to work, no harm, no foul type thing, and you carry on with life. These ones seem to drag on.
Yes.
I assume, here we are 2 years later. Where does it sit?
So currently where it sits is we filed a human rights complaint against the school board that we're alleging that our human rights to our creed, our belief, our religion has been violated because they insisted that we celebrate something which goes against our belief system. And so we asked for, we informed them that we wouldn't be doing that and asked for an accommodation to it. They rejected it and fired us. So on that front, we've got the human rights complaint. We're also bringing in the violation of our charter rights into that same complaint. Freedom of expression and freedom of religion and freedom of association. So that's the one channel. And the other channel is we have an action we brought against our teachers union. The teachers union went through the motions of filing a grievance on our behalf. However, when it came to the fact of us demanding that our charter and human rights be addressed, the union refused to do so. The union refused to pursue it. The union was ready to say, yes, you were wrongfully dismissed, and we'll argue that you were wrongfully dismissed. But in terms of your religious freedoms, your freedom of expression, your freedom of association, no, they refused. They said, you'll have to do that on your own. So so that's why we filed a human rights complaint. So anyway, we've taken them to the courts for duty of fair representation. They failed to do that. So that's a second action. And we're very thankful to have the Justice Center of Constitutional Freedoms on our side. They heard about our case and have picked us up, and we've got a legal team working for us, and it's been an absolute blessing to have those people in our corner.
Yeah, well, speaking of the JCCF for a couple of seconds, I was just saying before we started that John Carpe was just on, and it was the first I've had people who worked for the JCCF on before, but I'd never had John Carpe on, and hearing a bit of his story, and certainly what the JCCF does, as an organization here in Canada, it takes on a lot of meaningful battles, and this one sounds and feels like a pretty meaningful battle for Canadians to pay attention to.
Well, yeah. I mean, our case, even our union said, this could be a precedent-setting case. This could be big because the government propagated agenda of this DEI has been pushed down everyone's throats. And we see now it's literally a matter of if you won't celebrate it, you will be terminated. Action will be taken against you. And if we challenge this, I don't have great hope in our courts. Our courts are very leftist and captured. However, this is a huge challenge. And this will be a massive declaration that, no, you can't overreach like that. You can't overstep. That's what we're constantly seeing our governments overreaching and overstepping in every realm of life almost. And this is one of them. And the fact that, people are always surprised when they hear our story. They go, wow, you see the look of shock on their face. How could that be? Well, it shouldn't be a surprise because everyone knows the state of the country. Everyone knows you're not allowed to speak out against the rainbow agenda. right? People speak in hushed tones, and they're careful what they say. They go to work and they watch what they do. So everybody knows we're essentially under a communist style regime. We just don't want to admit it, right? We think we're Canada, it's a free country, but it's not. When you actually look at how people act, how people communicate, everyone knows it's not free. So anyway, we're challenging it. We're standing up and saying, no, absolutely not. We have a higher calling.
Yeah, when there's certain narratives that are put out there, and when you talk counter to the narrative,
Yep.
You best buckle up because, well, I always talk about it. You fight the machine. The machine seems like it has no end to its money, no end to its ability to draw. I mean, just look at Tamara and Leach and Chris Barber right now, still waiting for their verdict. And you think of how many years that's been going on, and that's just one of many. And certainly here on this side and this audience that falls along with everything that I interview, like it's, like I said, if it was the first time I'd heard anything like this, I would think it would be wild. Now it's just another one in a series of red flags of where Canada's at. Like this should be a red flag to everybody. Like, you can have your thoughts on LGBTQ plus, and everything. But when they remove you, just like take it as any issue. When they remove you for something you didn't do and you have a clean record, it kind of like they're setting the precedent for whenever the next narrative comes through. I don't know, climate maybe in Nova Scotia. And if you stand up against that, then they remove you. Right. And you can just see where this is going to lead us in the future. It's already here. But where it can go with any of the next issues that come along, any of the next emergencies that come along, any of the next whatever comes along, if you don't go along to get along, I think your story is wild to me because you didn't even put posts online.
No.
Like that's pretty crazy.
No, and there are no incidents of anything done. It was just, well, this person doesn't support the narrative. It doesn't support the Orwellian agenda. Therefore, there's no room for them.
I think it's Stalin. Somebody text me on this. I'm pretty sure it's Stalin. He'd speak, and everybody would stand up and clap, and you didn't want to be the last person clapping. Doesn't that feel like, like if you think about it, doesn't that feel like where we're at?
When you stood up and clapped, you had to clap with the right amount of enthusiasm.
Enthusiastic
enough.
Yeah. Oh, this is brilliant. Yeah. And then you're looking around and like, how long are we going to clap for, guys? Okay, we're going to keep clapping.
That's where we're at. That's where we're at. Yeah.
Do you think there's getting out of this for Canadians? Like, I mean, obviously there is, right? Like, guys, we just don't need to do this anymore. And yet, I mean, COVID the start of it was 5 years ago, and the end of it was 3 years ago, and you'd think we'd be done with all this. And then you watch different things going.
Done with it, and we're still not done with it. It's
right, but that's the thing.
Yeah. I mean, obviously there are avenues which are, which could be ways out. Do I have great hope in those avenues? I don't have great hope. No. However, as we saw during COVID, what it took was for people to finally get a backbone and say no en masse, in unison. And just, so many, and I don't know what it was like where you live, but during COVID, it was terrible here. We felt like we were quite alone. Very few people shared our view on the violations of our freedoms. And when that convoy started to roll across Canada, I can't tell you the excitement. Absolutely fantastic. Okay, you know what? We're taking a stand. I'd been to protest. We'd done what we could, but we were so small and so isolated and so alone. To finally be unified, to have a movement coming that was going to say no. It changed Canada, and it changed the world. So it's that united non-compliance, peaceful united non-compliance, just saying, no, enough is enough. Enough is enough.
Well, there's an Aristotle quote. It says, poverty is the parent of revolution and crime. And I'm not saying that, you go out and pick up the pitchforks and everything else and go and do harm. Peaceful non-compliance is the words that I caught there. But we always, sitting here in where I sit, I'm just like, it obviously hasn't, in COVID, when the Freedom Convoy got rolling, people who even were maybe on the side of like caution and in the fearful, when they saw it, a ton of people cheered it on. Right? We'd been in it for 2 full years by that time, and it was the dark days. Those were dark days. And where we sit now, I wonder about, like, has it gotten tough enough? Do people understand? Like, you understand? Like, I mean, you're absolutely getting ostracized from society in a way that is shocking, I guess.
Not very inclusive.
Right. Opposite of everything they stand for. Yes. We love diversity, just not diversity of opinion.
That's right.
And yet I wonder if it's gotten to a point yet where people will actually do peaceful non-compliance unified across the country again. To me, I don't know, the penalty of non-compliance, as we're seeing out in Nova Scotia, is going to be big fines, is going to be court cases, is going to be getting dragged through the mud, and I don't know, I guess, curious your thoughts.
Well, it comes to a point where you have to make a decision. What's more important, my pension, my paycheck, or the country we're going to leave our children? That's really what it boils down to. That and in my case, I'm a Christian man, and I take very seriously my stance before God, and so that's the first driving factor in my decision. But outside of that, and I know not everybody shares that, outside of that, it comes down to what are you going to leave your kids? You're gonna go along and let your country destroy itself in order to make sure you lock in your pension. But what your kids got? Our kids now can't afford to buy a house because we've allowed our country to just deteriorate and be taken over and abused by the governing class. And you have to decide, okay, what am I going to do here? What am I going to take up? Speak up and take up a fight against what is wrong in our country. So I think, which is the term, the golden handcuffs, and so much of our society is locked into the golden handcuffs of a pension and a safe paycheck and maybe a government job or whatever it might be. And it depends who you're a slave to. So people have to decide.
And it depends who you're a slave to. That's something to ponder. I was just telling this story a couple days ago. I was in small town Alberta. Was getting to host a celebrity golf tournament, and it was after COVID, and so I was pretty cool. When I first started this, Matt, I was interviewing different hockey figures, and I always say the names like Don Cherry and Ron McLean because everybody knows who they are, right? I got to interview them, and that was super cool. Now it's where I thought this thing was going, and then now I sit and I talk to Matt Alexander, and I kind of chuckle about my own journey. But anyways, I'm on the stage, and it's right at the time when Dylan Mulvaney on the Bud Light can was, and I'm full-time podcasting now at the time this is happening. And I'm not a comedian by any stretch of the imagination, but, I've been getting teased. In Saskatchewan, we have a beer, Pilsner, right? A green can. It's very symbolic of everything Saskatchewan. Right. Born and raised from Saskatchewan, right? Now live in Alberta. And so I was drinking a Pilsner most of the day as we went around the golf course, and I was getting teased about it. And so I got up on stage, and I basically was sharing this story to the crowd of, seems me drinking a Pilsner here is is pretty funny. And I said, something along the lines of, I've been searching low and high to find somebody brave enough to drink a Bud Light, and I had to come and, said the town's name. And I didn't think it was that funny. I just thought it was clever or whatever. But like the crowd erupted, and I had people falling out of their chairs laughing, and I was just like, "Oh man, I guess I'm a comedian now or something." And I looked back at the 3 NHL guys; not one was smiling. And it took a few days later from one of my brothers to go, "Shaun, you realize you're uncontrollable. Like you don't have the boss above you. Certainly, there's God. But like you don't have the guy holding the purse string saying, nope, you can't say that joke." And he's like, all the people connected to the NHL, they can't laugh at a Bud Light joke, even as insane as it is to have a transgendered female on a can of a beer that's drank by people who play rec hockey or, I don't know, all the go fishing, like on and on and on. Bikers, right? We saw the bikers all ignore them at the big thing in South Dakota, and I can't think of the place right now. And somebody's yelling at the radio because they know where I'm talking. And I chuckled about that, and I'm like, I never really thought about it before. But when you bring up money and like how people are controlled with fear, the fear of losing one's job. Well, you've worked all your life to be, say, a teacher or what have you, and to have voice any concerns about where the world's going means losing that. And that's the fear, I guess, that people have to wrestle with.
Absolutely. Jesus said, fear not him that can destroy the body, but fear him that can destroy both body and soul in hell. And really, that's where it stands. I fear God. I don't fear man. I don't fear my superintendent. She fired me. That was an inconvenience. But life is far bigger than that. So I'd rather do what is right and put my head on my pillow and know that I'm doing the right thing. I'm standing on the right ground. It's far more valuable to me than the others. And that's where people have to make up their mind. Too many people are a slave to the paycheck. And the country will not go well if that's the case.
With your case, what are the big are there big dates coming up, or is there anything for people to pay attention to? Like up until I saw, I believe it was Rebel News, was the interview I watched, and I think there was an article as well, maybe Western Standard, I can't remember. But regardless, I didn't know anything about this at all, and for a guy in my realm, sitting in the chair I sit, talking to people, probably the thing that shocks me the most is how many people I still have zero clue about. And, I sit and do this 5 days a week, Matt. We try and track down as many Canadian stories as humanly possible. And then this gets thrown on my lap, and I'm like, I don't even know who these people are. And so to maybe shed a light on, pay attention for November or when it is, what would you point people to? What can they pay attention for with your and your wife's case specifically?
Yeah, I don't have specific dates. There's some mediation dates coming up in early this fall. I couldn't even tell you what they are off the top of my head. They keep changing, so it's tough to really pin anything down. There's going to be a bit of a process here for a while. There'll be some mediation. There's going to be again we have the two actions going on, which are separate. And I don't know what to say about the case against the union. I don't know where it's going to be, how fast it's going to move. You would think it should move quickly because it's a labor-related issue, and so many things hinge on it. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know how keen our courts are to take this fight up. I don't think they want to handle this topic. It's a big one. It's going to be a game changer. It will change everybody's employment situation, really. Their relationship with their employer, their relationship with their union. And we got a union who refused to represent two of their members' human rights and charter rights. That's wild. And to this point, they've been allowed to do it.
Well, so, and if I go, I hate to give people any ideas, so I don't even know if I should utter this thought, but it's literally in your story. If you dislike a coworker, just put up things they disagree with, have them take it down, and then walk in your butt and go, look what they're doing. Can't have that. and see what kind of storm brews after that, right? Like that to me is the insane part of this. I mean, it's all insane, but to have somebody put something up on your door and you just take it down, a simple act of taking it down, not raising a stink about it, just boop, it's down, or to post something anonymously online about someone and that come back. I mean, we are in a wild world, and if that doesn't get addressed, it only becomes I don't know. The house is on fire, folks, and it just burns a little hotter if this doesn't get course corrected, I would say.
That's right. Yep. And that's, our case here is, if you want to say it, hopefully it's something that can course correct. And if the courts are too crooked to correct it, at the very least, it can open some people's eyes to the country they're living in, because people are, I feel, quite unaware of what's going on in the very country that they live in, and that they're building for their children. And maybe from there they can make some wise decisions. So,
one question on Josh, if I may.
Yeah.
Just I guess a father to father. I got 3 young kids, and to as a parent, you're watching your kids grow, and I don't know if you hope they never get put in a situation where it isn't the adults standing up, but at the same time, it's like if they believe strongly in something and that's part of their environment, I assume, like, was there a conversation had before he started talking out, or and were those difficult conversations? Not in the sense of like standing up for what you know to be right, just like I mean, it's wild to me that a teenager got framed in a certain light from legacy media. I mean, like if he comes on different shows, he's probably welcomed in and been like, just tell us the story. But others are like, this guy is the Antichrist almost.
Yeah, well, of course, government-funded media paints one picture, and independent media paints another. So that's generally the way it works. So yeah, there were conversations for sure. Were they hard conversations? No, they were serious conversations. How do we proceed? We had to count the cost. What could happen? Lay out all the different possibilities, and we understood that things could be crazy, and in the long run, it appears they have been. I know anything. I got social media after I was suspended, after they'd already taken me out of work. I said, all right, well, then I'm getting social media. And I began posting, Bible verses and Christian commentary on things going on.
Pretty wild stuff.
Yeah. And I know those things were frowned upon. I know that. But and anything I said regarding Josh or Nick, his brother, anything that they did, that was viewed in the negative light. But so be it. They're my sons, and I agree with what they believe and what they stood for. I don't know if I wandered off your question, but yeah, absolutely. We had to consider what the costs were, and what the best approach was. And I know in the beginning, I was in there talking to his principal and communicating back and forth. And finally, when Josh decided to take bigger action, he said, "All right, you know what? This is your fight." And we raised him to be a strong, principled young man. He based his life on the Word of God, and that was our belief system. And I said, okay, this is your fight. This is your fight. Do it. And we're in your corner. We're behind you. But instead of a squawking parent complaining to the school, because that happens all the time, we said, let's have the child. Let's have the child take the school board on, because that's far more meaningful. And it was, that made the fight so much more clear, that you've got a 16-year-old boy standing up, doing what thousands of men should have done and didn't. And I think it was just far more meaningful. We were there, we were in his corner, we made appearances when we needed to make appearances and in support, but it was his fight. He was a young man, he was raised right, and he was taking on the battle. So yeah, we had to discuss it.
To bring in like hockey culture for a second,
Mm-hmm.
Lots of parents have to watch their kids go off at whatever age it is, if it's 15, 16, 17, off to like the higher levels of hockey, right? And I assume those are, difficult times or I don't know, maybe just lots of questions, right? You're sending your child off into the unknown and that's in a sport. In this, were there uneasy moments watching? I mean, like, he went in the lion's den. If it wasn't day after day, it was, or if it wasn't week after week, I mean, it felt like day after day. But like, I assume there was some prayer going on for sure. But like, as a parent watching all that play out, how did you? I don't know. I don't even know the question. How did you and your wife deal with that?
Well, I mean, yeah, it was again. Well, there's the word we've been using. It was wild. It was wild. But yeah, our faith and trust was in God, as was Josh's, and what he was doing was right. It was 100% right. He was making the right stand. He had God on his side, and they saw him through. And there's stuff the media doesn't even know. There were attacks. There was violence. There was all kinds of stuff that went on, but God saw everyone through. And in the end, I think a pretty clear statement was made, and I think the nation really was left to sit and ponder. All right, well, where are we at? Is this really what we want? We really want to squelch people's beliefs, squelch people's freedom of speech, and frankly endanger our girls in their private spaces. That's what we were left to do. And what has our country done about it? Not a whole lot. So, yeah, I believe it's left a mark on the conscience of the nation. And I think what he did was valuable, but it's up to the rest of the adults in the room, so to speak, to step up and do the right thing.
Man, I appreciate you coming on and doing this and giving me some time this morning. I think people will be very interested to hear this story on this side, if they haven't already. Certainly, my audience is I champion them all the time. They're smarter than me. They're more informed, I swear, than me. They find different people from all across Canada that I've never heard of. And I'm just fortunate enough to have people like yourself say yes and come on and chat. And I appreciate you coming on, and all the best in your court cases. And if anything comes up, please reach out. We'd love to help get the word out to different people here throughout Canada, what's happening with your story and others as well. So thanks again.
Thanks. Appreciate it.